So a lunar eclipse is when the sun's light passes the Earth, and of course the Earth will form a shadow, and that shadow falls on the moon. So it's literally the moon is covered or eclipsed by the Earth as the Earth moves between the sun and the moon. So that shadow falling towards the moon is always up there in the sky somewhere. Usually the moon misses it. In this particular case, tonight, the moon will move through that shadow. It moves through an outer, fainter part of the shadow, and that's barely perceptible. Most of us won't notice that it's in the shadow at that point. But then it reaches the darkest inner part of the shadow, and that's when we'll see all the interesting effects that'll be there. It makes that a blood red colour, or sometimes different sorts of colours of red, tinges of red, because in the particular case of the eclipse, the Earth's atmosphere refracts the light from the sun in towards the shadow. So you might think that the Earth blocks the light completely and there was a dark shadow, but in fact the atmosphere just above the surface of the Earth refracts and bends the light in. That reaches the darker part of the shadow. Why is it red and not all colours? The blue colours from the sun that are passing through the atmosphere are scattered outwards. In fact, that blue scattering is what gives us the blue colour of the sky during the day. The red light preferentially passes through and reaches the shadow. It's exactly the same effect which gives us a red colouring in the sky at sunset.
What's the best way to see the lunar eclipse? Do we need a telescope or special glasses we see in sometimes eclipses come around?
First thing I guess is that we don't need the special glasses. The special glasses, the solar glasses or the special solar filters for telescopes, all those precautions to protect your eyes are only needed for solar eclipses, when the bright light of the sun is dangerous and you shouldn't be looking at it. For a lunar eclipse we've got tonight and coming up in October, they're perfectly safe to look at with your own naked eye. So from the east coast of Australia, particularly Sydney, the moon's rising at about 5:30, and from other locations on the east coast it's within a few minutes of that. The moon will rise already totally eclipsed in the reddish colour, although the red colour will be slightly difficult to distinguish from a normal moonrise, but as the moon climbs higher we'll see the moon drop out of that shadow and it'll brighten up nicely. From the east coast the eclipse is over by about 6:25. The total part of the eclipse is over by 6:25. If we move to the central Australia, sort of through Adelaide and the Northern Territory, the moon rises at around about 5:45, but only about 15 minutes later, it's a very short time, only 15 minutes later the moon will begin to move out of the shadow. So you've got to be quick if you're in the centre of Australia. And over on the west coast, you're going to miss most of it, unfortunately. The eclipse will pretty much be over by the time you see moonrise from Western Australia and Perth. So there'll be people, everyone in the US and through South America will be able to see the eclipse as well, through the Pacific and through New Zealand. You'll be in good company while you're watching this eclipse.